Hi, I'm Germaine Miller-Summers. I am the host of HOV CONNECT.
We conclude our story in part 3 with Ron Sweeney as he continues to share his story of Lil Wayne, and he breaks down the calculations of should you or should you not sell your publishing.
Ron, you referenced Lil Wayne as you were sharing your Eazy-E story. So I know you've been a part, or you've actually have a significant deal that you did for Lil Wayne and Easy Money and Young Money. And I want you to talk to us about that because they're teaching this in law classes today.
Yeah, because all of this was part of a litigation. Wayne sued Universal and Cash Money, and when you sue somebody, the records are a matter of public records unless they file a motion to seal it. So the records weren't sealed. So you can go online and everything I'm about to talk about, you can see. And so I know in particular at Southwestern Law School, they use this Cash Money, Young Money situation as a way to teach entertainment law. And the reason being is that, my book talks about, the real record business and how you make money. And I demystify the record business. And I show you why you would want to be in the record business and how, and the importance of rights. So the Lil Wayne lawsuit and Cash Money is such an exception to the rule. It's an exception to the rule because Wayne, one, is a superstar. Young Money signed two unknowns who became superstars, Drake and Nicki Minaj. And because of Cash Money's unique deal, unlike any of the other deals out there, they've been around for 28 years. People don't realize that. But in their deal, like Eazy-E, they were getting paid in dollars, less the distribution fee. So now think about how many records Drake has sold. Think about how many records Nicki has sold. Think about how many records Wayne has sold. And think about Wayne suing to be paid on all those records. And it gives you a sense of how big this deal really was. Everyone thought Wayne was suing because of Carter, because he wanted to release Carter 5. That was part of it. But the real deal was we were suing for our profits on Nicki Minaj and Drake. So in this deal, you get to look at the artist deal. You get to look at the label from a production deal standpoint. And then you get to look at the real record business that Wayne and Baby and Slim are in, because they're getting paid dollars. And by the way, they own everything. So they co-owned all the masters. So this is the kind of deal that you want to get to, the ultimate deal, when you do a deal and you end up owning the masters and collecting in dollars. As an artist, you want to get to the point where you own your masters as an artist and you're paid in dollars. When you go to look at this deal, that's exactly what happened. Wayne ended up owning the records going forward 100% as an artist, and he's only paying a distribution fee. So every dollar that comes in goes to Wayne, not the record company. Normally, all the dollars go to the record company and the artist has fool's gold. All right. So you get to look to see how those deals are set up, and the practical side of it, the real side of how it worked and why it worked and how much money they made. Then, in addition to that, you're looking at the inner workings of the record company and the fight and why there was a fight, because it was all about rights. who controlled the rights. I talked earlier about, I'm that lawyer that thinks about the beginning, the middle, the end. From the day that I started with Lil Wayne, 2005, I was focused on rights. So when I did his deal, I got, and again, you will see it in the documents if you want to look. I got back, I got his publishing back, merchandising, management. I got back everything. And also I fixed it so that he would start co-owning his masters from then. And each time I renegotiated, I didn't focus on the money. I focused on structure. So the reason Wayne got paid like he got paid was because I was focused on that structure, not trying to get money up front per se, because I understood the record business. I had a $70 million talent budget at Epic Records. I ran a division that very successful. So I understand the record business and I understand how to count. And so what Wayne got from me, not only me as a lawyer, but also as a record executive. And I said, Wayne, let's reactivate Young Money and let's build it because we can build some assets. Because I understood Cash Money's deal. Okay. So I'm like, let's mirror this deal and we'll make a shitload of money. Excuse my friend.
So you know what? You kept referencing rights. And for those out there that may be in the music industry that really don't understand what that term means, can you just break that down a little for them?
Yeah. I mean, every contract is like a Bible. You go there, you got to go there and because it defines everything. It governs everything. So when you go to negotiate a deal in the beginning, an artist owns all the rights.
And the rights are like their IP, their intellectual property, their songs.
Rights to their name and likeness, their IP, their any songs that they write, any songs that they've recorded, they own it 100%. Then you contract with the record company, and the question is, who gains those rights? Usually, if you're not in a strong bargaining position, like a lot of the Black artists way back when, they take all the rights, and they pay you a royalty that's like fool's gold.
So what I'm hearing is the record industry understands the power of rights, and they know the artists may not understand the power of the rights.
Understand, the record business is all about rights. Who's going to own the copyrights? Because that's what gives value to the companies. Universal's worth $58 billion now. Why? Because of the owners. They own the masters and they own the publishing. Those are the rights that give value to the company. So think about it. Wouldn't you want to be in that same position? So that's why Wayne could sell his masters in excess of $100 million, because those are the rights that I accumulated for him.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I didn't ask for more cash. I focused on the structure to make sure.
Because you've always been about helping to build and have ownership for our people.
Way back when I used to read contracts in Joe Porter's office, I had taken partnership law, corporate law, and I'm like looking at these contracts and I'm like, this makes no sense. You're the star, but they own everything. It should at least be a partnership. That's how most businesses are done when two people come together, but not in the record business. They took everything. What they took is the basis of what makes their companies worth so much money now. So I just mirrored that, knowing that Cash Money was in that position. Again, I've done that for Clarence. I've done that for all of my clients. They own. I don't do deals. I don't do what I call fool's gold deals. I'm like, when I see deals like that, I tell people not to sign them, because you're giving all the rights away, and the value is in the rights, not that advance.
Wow. So, do you have an example that you can share with us from somebody that you've allowed to own their rights and years later, by them owning, it's still profiting their family?
Yeah, I got a great Kool in the Gang story. I met Kool in the Gang back in the early 80s because I was managing Climax and we were doing shows together. So we were traveling, we're doing shows all around the world. And so I got to know all the guys and became real close to them, especially Khalees and their manager, Adele Bayan, who both of whom passed away, but they were two of the purest souls I've ever met.
Mm.
They're just good guys. So anyway, they came to me because they needed money, and they asked me to sell their publishing. And in that batch of songs included Celebration. I begged them not to do it, and they were a group, so everybody in the group did it except George Brown, the drummer. And so I tell people never sell the publishing. That's your kids' inheritance, your grandkids' inheritance, and it's the gift that keeps giving. There's a chapter in my book that talks about why never sell the publishing, and it breaks it down financially so you can understand why. So, but Khalees is a good example because he was the main writer on Celebration. What most people don't understand, there's a provision in the copyright, Section 203, that after 35 years, you can recapture ownership of your masters and your publishing. So that's what we did with Kool in the Gang. And I went in and negotiated. And I, one night, Khalees called the songs babies. One night, Khalees called me up and said, Ron, I want all my babies. Can you get all my babies back? And I'm like, we had such a pure relationship. I said, I told him the truth. I don't know, man. You sold them, but I'll try. I got it back. We ended up making a deal. We got 100% ownership back of all of the songs. And we just did an administration deal with Warner Chappell. So he ended up owning, recapturing all of his publishing. And I did something slick. We did it based on estate planning because he was 60 some odd years old, and he wanted everything to be in order. And so, mind you, I told you I met the band in the early 80s.
Mm-hmm.
They actually started in 1969. I played my drums to their music. With bands. And in the final analysis, again, he got all of his publishing back. That was the first time and the only time I've ever sold a client's publishing.
Wow.
As a Black lawyer, the last thing I ever want is for some Black artist running around town saying that Ron Sweeney sold my publishing so that he could get a fee. Your publishing is a gift that keeps giving. So I'm using Khalees as an example. He passed away in 2021. He wrote the song, I believe, in the songs in the 70s and the 80s. Fast forward 2024.
Wow.
His family is eating off those songs. So this is what, 50 years later?
Yeah, definitely.
He's still collecting off those songs. I did something similar for Clarence Avant. Clarence collected off of his songs and his masters, and he didn't sell them until he was 87. He died at 92. But all of those years, he was getting paid off of those masters, including songs on Alexander O'Neal, Sherelle, SOS Band, Bill Withers, Lean on Me. And that's why I say never sell the publishing. And these young kids don't understand this. somebody tells you, I can get you X amount of dollars, and you light up like a Christmas tree, and you just don't understand that after all the expenses and what have you, there ain't no money. Because the
Absolutely.
whole object, if I were to sell someone's publishing or masters, I would do it only because it's so much money that they could put it after they pay everybody, they put it in the bank, and it's throwing out 5, 10, $15 million a year. Then you're set. But if you sell it for, under $50 million after you pay the commissions and the taxes, that ain't no money. You're
Exactly.
gonna miss that income, and in all likelihood, you're gonna end up spending the money. So you're not gonna be. Most people aren't disciplined enough to put the money in the bank and just live off the interest. But that's literally, if you hold on, every year you're collecting money. So the question is, and if people are buying from you, they know, like I know, it's going to continue to go up in value, because every time there's a new format or a new platform on the internet, that means they're using more and more of your music. It's almost the equivalent of new record stores coming into existence.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the gift that keeps giving, and unless you're doing it for estate purposes, and that's what you see out there. When you see Bruce Springsteen sell, he's in his 70s. He's got to deal with estate taxes. When he dies, the first 25 million now is exempt, but after that, he has to pay 40%. The taxes on it is 40%.
Wow.
So it's not, it's just something that they have to deal with. And that's what you see all these big stars, they're in their 70s, 80s. They're selling because of that, not because somebody offered them some big check.
So you definitely sound like you recommend any of these younger artists that we're hearing about selling their masters or selling their rights. It's, if you're at a certain age, you still have a lot of living to do. And are they thinking legacy?
They're not thinking, because all they're thinking, again, that advance, that upfront money, they're not thinking about what they're giving up. They're not thinking about the cash flow that they're giving up for the rest of their lives and the rest of their kids' lives and their grandkids' lives. It's the gift that keeps giving.
Well, sometimes people need to see it physically in their face in writing. And the one thing you have done in your book, A Moment in Time, you have literally broken down what $100 million buyout looks like. If somebody was to buy your rights for $100 million, you literally break down a percentage to see really what the artist is left with at the end of the day after everybody's paid out.
At the end of the day, if somebody gives them $100 million, they're going to end up with $50 million. So it's like, yeah, if you could put that in the bank and be disciplined, you get right now 5-6% a year off of 50 million. So that's like, $2 to $3 million a year. But if you're that guy that's used to flying private on those private airplanes, that's just your airplane budget for the year.
For the year. You said the year.
Yes. I mean,
wow.
we'll put it like this. You want to fly from LA to Miami to LA, round trip, that's about $300,000. Do that 10 times, that's $3 million.
Exactly. So it sounds like people just really need to be educated, especially coming into this business. And I always hear you say the music business is one of the greatest business ever, even though it comes with a lot of stuff. But why do you make that statement? Why is that statement so profound for you or relevant for you?
As a Black man in America, I can't think of another way to be able to make this much money as a lawyer, and for people to make this much money based on their creativity. This is the only place where a Black person, it used to be, you started in the garage, a garage band, and somebody discovers you, and then you sell, all of a sudden you go from rags to riches. And if you have your business straight, it could go on for a very long time, cool in the game, And it's a fun business. You know, I was a musician. I like creativity. I like being around creative people. And the smart creative people make me their alter ego. So I become the business side of my client, and they let me make the business decisions. And they're the ones who made a ton of money. That's what Clarence did. That's what Jimmy and Terry did. That's what Wayne did. And they all, you know, it's, you know, my body of work speaks for itself.
Absolutely. And for those listening and watching, they'll be able to, in your book, really get a firsthand look at your story, your journey, to see how you have effectively changed lives by solving problems through problem solving. So I am there's so much that we could talk about, but we have to leave something for the readers. We need them to, this book is a must read. This book, I believe, will become a standard in the music industry. And not just for Black artists, but for artists in general.
Yeah, you know, I'm focused somewhat on Black people because that's my experience.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the reality is that you know, white artists for the most part don't go to Black lawyers, and for the most part, the country club at the record companies, you know, it's designed that way. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and it's designed to get into the Black artist's head so that they can control them. And the last person they want to see coming is me, because I'm the one that keeps them honest and stops them from taking advantage. So again, when the negotiations start, it's about who's going to own the rights. And so, and I'm not interested in just the upfront money. I'm interested in those rights and preserving as many rights as possible. So they're in the business of acquiring rights. So right off the bat, we're at odds.
Exactly.
But I don't represent them. I represent my client. And I also know that I'm not there to be well liked. I'm there to get the job done and to represent my client. What most Black entertainers don't understand, they don't understand power and the power that they have because they generate the kind of money they do for the record business, for the record companies. I understand that power. I learned and really understood power by being around Clarence. Clarence understood power and how to manipulate and how to use it. When I got power, which means I got an artist that sold 5 million records, I can go in there and ask for anything I want, and they're going to give it to me. Why? Because they want another $5 million another 5 million seller from that artist. They want another record. So when I go in there, I'm not asking just for the money. I'm like, give me back these rights. Give me this, give me that.
Mm-hmm.
So because in the end, because every career is a moment in time. In the end, I want my client to own themselves and own the assets, because in addition to having a great record career, they also now have an asset that's very valuable, and that it throws off income every month and gives them the opportunity, if push came to shove, they got an asset that they can sell. You know, there are times when people run into trouble or whatever and they don't have a choice.
Mm-hmm.
Good news is, if you structure deals right, they actually have something that they can sell. But for the most part, you know, unless it's a matter of life and death, I'm telling somebody, don't sell. You know, don't sell, because this will be worth a lot of money. Every time you hear music in a film, TV, or whatever, money's being made. Every time you hear go on Spotify and play Kool and the Gang's music, they're making money. So the question is, in the end, who's going to be making that money, the artist or the record company?
Exactly.
I represent the artist, so I'm trying to make sure they get that money.
Wow, valuable lessons to learn. That, and I know from the heart, you are truly an educator. You want people to understand and know the music business. And that's something that, if you're an artist, the record labels are not teaching you. So if you could leave something with those out there that's looking to get in the music industry, and find themselves in positions whereas they don't have what they believe they should have? What would be those parting words, those things that you would want to impart to them?
You know, that's pretty complicated, because at the end of the day, the music business is just what I said, business.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, I tell people, young people, especially when they want to be entertainment laws, a lawyer, and I tell them, you know, it's not just reading the recording contract. You need to know how to count, learn how to count. You need to take accounting courses. You need to take tax courses. You need to take corporation courses. Why? Because, you know, you take somebody like Wayne, he has 10 different corporations probably, you know, that, you know, I know I incorporated at least 8 of them. You know, has a company for touring, has a company for merchandising, has a company for publishing, a company for records, a company for his label, you know, and each one of those entities generate large sums of money. And you get these complicated statements from the record companies. You need to understand them, because you'll find that they routinely make mistakes, big mistakes, and there's money there, you know. It's like you want to learn, so don't be so much focused on the money in the beginning as, you know, an opportunity to learn. And you need to network and find yourself a mentor in the business who will mentor you. I didn't have the luxury of a network. I was blessed because I worked with Clarence, and I was blessed when I went to Sony because the vice chairman and I were really good friends, and he was the reason why I went to Sony. But my stipulation was that I would control my own budgets. I would be able to make decisions on my own, and for them to leave me alone and let me and I'll show them that I'd make money. I made a lot of money, and for them within 4 years. I signed 4 Platinum Acts, Genuine, Capadonna, Ghostface,
RZA.
Cameron, RZA deal, you know. So all of that generated lots and lots of money. And I was at the highest level, so I was allowed to see everything. So, you know, I saw what it meant to have a worldwide hit. I saw what it meant to the kind of money you could generate traveling the world, touring the world. You know, I think one of the greatest success stories ever is Taylor Swift. You know, very few artists put out that many records on a label and are still relevant after they start their own label, which she did. Now she owns 100% of herself, minus a distribution fee. And she's doing sold out tours around the world, South America, Asia, Europe, the US, Canada. Well, you know, that's the real record business. So most blacks are, you know, especially the rap and hip hop, it's like the US only represents a third of the record business, but you're in rap and hip hop, and you're not making the kind of music that transcends across to, you know, to Europe and all of that, and you don't go over there. That means your audience is 1/3 of a third.
Wow.
And you're making money just from that 1/3, as opposed to selling your records to the entire third in the US and the other 2/3 of the rest of the world, which means you're not making all that tour money. When you know, soccer is big, you know, much bigger everywhere else in the world, and they have stadiums that hold 100,000 people. Taylor Swift is having concerts in those stadiums, and they're sold out. So you do the math.
Yeah, they did say if she has not hit billionaire status, she's definitely right around the corner. So
yeah, because she generated that much money. But that's the real record business. You know, I had the pleasure of co-managing Color Me Bad.
Mm-hmm.
And they toured like that around the world.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I've been to the show. I've seen it. I know how it works on the record label, on the management level, and also as an attorney. So I have what's known as operating experience.
Yes.
So when I'm reading this contract, I'm reading the contract with operating experience. So I know what those provisions mean, and I know what shouldn't be in there that may interfere with us operating.
Well, you definitely have something a lot of your counterparts or other attorneys may not have, and probably that's probably why you had to build that country club, because you operate on an island alone.
The one thing I learned about racism comes in all colors. There's white snakes and there's black snakes. My mother taught me something that's very valuable, and I ended up taking the best from the white people and the best from the black people and creating me. I left all the racist nonsense alone with the white people and the racist nonsense alone with the black people. And I'm just trying to be true to myself and pure.
That's good.
So, that's who I am, and that's what I'm about.
And that's what they'll be able to read in your book, A Moment in Time. Mr. Ron Sweeney, it has truly been a pleasure for you taking this time on Hope Vision Connect and just sharing your experience and your detailed stories with the world. And so we're excited. And like I mentioned, that your book is available for pre-sale, so people can order their advanced copies. And we're looking at a early spring release of this book. So we will definitely make sure we keep them updated with when the book is actually in stores. But right now they can go and get they can pre-order their copy at 90daybookcreation.com/a moment in time. Any parting words before we go? One last thing, anything you want to say, but I know we'll have you back because we have to talk about once the book hits the marketplace.
Follow your hearts and your dreams will always come true.
I love it. Thank you so much.
All right. It's a pleasure. You take care.
And we look forward to you subscribing to Hope Vision Connect, and make sure you click on the notification button because you don't want to miss out for upcoming episodes. Talk to you soon, and always remember, your story is our mission. See you on the next episode. Join us in honoring the profound impact of Black authors and their vast contributions to literature and culture. At Hope Vision Publishing, we recognize the power of diverse voices and the importance of amplifying stories that resonate with authenticity and truth. Now is your chance to share your voice and vision with the world. Whether you've crafted a compelling novel, a thought-provoking memoir, or a captivating collection of poetry, your story deserves to be told and celebrated. With our affordable publishing packages starting at just $12 a day, becoming a best-selling author has never been more attainable. Our dedicated team is here to help guide you through the publishing process, ensuring that your book receives the attention it deserves. Don't miss out on this opportunity to share your story with the world. Contact us today at 90daybookcreation.com to start your publishing journey and take the first steps towards becoming a best-selling author. And remember, your story is our mission.